Hello everyone and welcome back to this other tutorial. Today we're going to talk about walk cycle again. Instead of doing a walk cycle as we did last time with just the legs, we're going to do a walk cycle with a human character. As you can see, it has arms, it has head of course, and legs. And what we're going to end up with is a walk cycle, where everything looks smoothly because we offset the curves, and then we're gonna attach this character as we did last time, and we're gonna make him move forward. But for the first part, we just wanna have a good walk cycle. Cool. So, as we always do, let's go under File, Project Window. Let's create a new project. We're gonna call Human Walk Cycle, and you're gonna locate your project where you best prefer. So I will locate my project here, and then we press accept. And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna open a new scene. So once I have a new scene, we're gonna save this scene on the project that we created before. So we're gonna save the scene as Human Walk Cycle. If you really want to, it's not really the case, but usually in Maya you just save different versions. For example, this is going to be version 1, and then when you make changes, you're gonna save different versions of your project in order to have a backup if you do something wrong and you want to go back, for example, just for a step. But this is not the case, so we're just gonna save our scene. So now we need to import the rig. So let's gonna go under File and Import. As always, I'm gonna put the link in the description below. And once you've downloaded that, you should find your rig in the downloads. If for some reason your rig is not in the download folder, just go through the computer and move it somewhere else. So I move it in the desktop, and it's this one, Ultimate Beefy version 1, and we're gonna import the rig. Cool. Now we have a pretty weird coloring rig, but it's not a problem. We just need to change the lighting here and put two-sided lighting, and then if we want to change, I think it should be fine. Yeah. Cool. So now we can start with our walk cycle. As always, I've prepared my image references. I've printed them, and you can look up on the internet for thumbnails and everything. You can buy the book, The Animator Survival Kit, where you can find, for example, these two images, which are really, really, really important, and they're gonna be our guidelines. So we're gonna refer to these frames, and we're gonna copy this position here in order to have a good walk cycle. So I would suggest to print this, or if you have the book, it's the best. I'm actually using the book, so I will look at this just to show you how to use thumbnails, but it's always best if you print them. So since this reference here doesn't have the arms, and we really need to have a look at the arm today, we're just gonna frame this bit here, And we're just gonna have a look at the frames here. So we can see at frame 1 we have our contact position, and at frame 4 we have our down position, and 7 and 10 and this. And then we're just gonna have a look at this one for the position of the feet and the arm and the body. So for example, our contact position is this one, frame 1, down position is this one, frame 4. So we're just gonna reduce this image here like this, and then we're gonna have this one here. So now what we need to do, we need to do the contact position here. So let's go back into Maya, and maybe before starting, it's actually one of the things that you always do when before animating a character is to put him in a position which is not the T position, not the T pose. So you relax him, you make him normal, but since we have to do a walk cycle, probably it's not really useful. So we can just start positioning our character. And also if you want to be more precise, we can split our view in 2 panels as we did last time. And in this one we're just gonna put the side view. If you want our character on the other, I want my character to face the other side, so I'm just gonna select the side camera in my outliner. If you don't have your outliner here, you're just gonna go under window and outliner, and it's just gonna pop up here. And here, instead of putting 19, we're just gonna put -19, so our camera will flip. Then you select the camera again and you press A to frame your character. So now we have the right side. And again, let's put 2-sided lighting. So now we have our side view and our perspective view. So again, the references, left foot on the front, right foot in the back, and then left arm in the back and right arm in the front. So basically we have opposite arm and legs. So whenever this foot is in the front, this arm here is in the front, this one is in the back. So let's start with this foot here. Just gonna bring this guy forward, and we're gonna select the other one backwards. And of course, as you can see, we need to pull the body, which is this one, a little bit down. So I would use this control here, which is the root control, to move the body up and down. Instead, if we want to rotate the body, we're gonna use this one, which is a little bit nicer to rotate our body, instead of rotating from here, that we're gonna rotate everything. So now what we need to do, we're gonna select this foot here. As you can see, it's easier to select them from the perspective view. And we're gonna work again with the, this time it's called knee lock, foot tilt, heel bow, toe up and down. They're a little bit different from the previous rig, but I'll quickly show you what they do. So toe up and down, clearly just pull the toe up and down. Then we have the heel bow, which is the one that we need. As you can see, we need this guy here to set this position perfectly. Then we have the foot tilt, which is this guy here, if we want to do a really characteristic walk cycle, but this is not the case. And then we have the knee lock, which is something that we don't really need to touch. So again, let's grab the heel bow and let's bend this guy a little bit more, so this gives us the opportunity to pull the foot a little bit backwards, I would say like this. And then what we need to do with the front foot We don't have. So last time we used to rotate the foot with the heel ball. This time is a little bit different, but in certain cases we can still use the heel ball. But I'll show you later that in some cases we can't really use the heel ball. So for example, now we're just gonna put a value here and pull the foot a little bit up, and I would say that we're happy with our legs. So now let's go and let's position the arms. So the left arm is back a little bit. So what we need to do first, we need to pull the arm down a little bit, maybe rotate this tiny bit. And also another really important thing, we need to put the hand in a normal position, in a natural position, because right now they're pretty fake, they're pretty stuck. Well, what I suggest to do is to grab all of these controls here. I'm selecting them by pressing Shift, rotate control, and we're just gonna bend them a little bit this way. And then we're just gonna grab this one here again, just the first bit, and we're gonna move it a little bit from the other one, so they're not gonna be the same. It's more natural. And we're gonna do something like this with the thumb as well. So I would say we can pull this down, and then we can grab these two here and bend them a little bit towards the inside of the hand. So now the hand has a more natural position, as you can see. And we're gonna do the same with this arm as well. So down, gonna rotate this guy a little bit. And then the wrist, and then again let's grab these controls here and let's rotate them a little bit. This, and then the thumb as well. It's really straightforward, nothing really complicated. This is a pretty standard position, but if you want to look up at references of hands, of the position of a hand when they're relaxed, you're more than welcome to do that, so your position will be more accurate than mine. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this position here, which is a non-fake position. So now that we put the arm in a relaxed position, we're gonna pull this arm back a little bit. So I would say like this. Maybe try not to exaggerate too much, because in the next position we're gonna have to pull the arm even more further away. So I would say we can keep this position here, and let's check also the hand, which is facing the other side. So I would also grab the hand and I will change it a little bit and maybe pull it towards the outside, because otherwise it's a bit unnatural. So like this, maybe you can reduce by rotating this guy here. Cool. And now let's place the other arm, which is the opposite of this one, and it needs to go forward. So again, try not to exaggerate too much, also because if you think about when we walk, we don't really move. Of course we move our arms, but it's not something that we do in a very exaggerated way. It's something that you do in animation if you want to exaggerate a movement, if you want to give to the character a different walk cycle, if you want to, for example, exaggerate the movement of the feet in a certain way, the movement of the arms in a certain way. But in this case, I would keep everything normal. So like this, and again, let's check the arm. The end here is facing down a little bit. So what we can do, we can rotate this guy and pull the hand down a little bit. And like this. Cool. Once you're happy with your first position, and yes, what we're missing right now is a little bit of hip and shoulder and head movement, because in order to have a really good walk cycle, you don't really have to move just the arm and the legs, and that's it. You have to move every single part of your body. So let's start from the hip. What we can do, we can rotate the main hip control. So let's rotate it towards the leg that is leading now. For example, I would say like this, and then we can also rotate this guy a little bit more, just to have then the opportunity to move the shoulders and basically balance the body. So I'll show you right now exactly what I'm talking about. So if you move this guy in this way, and then you select the shoulders and you move it in this way, as you can see, it's still a natural position. It's just the hip is moving in a really exaggerate way, and we want this a little bit, maybe not this much, but we really want this effect, so that it feels like every part of our the chest and then the hip and then the root is moving, so our character is not static. So we want to rotate this guy just a tiny bit, always towards the leg that is leading, of course, and then we want to counterbalance the weight with the shoulders. And of course, as you can see here, we also need to balance with the head. So let's move it left a little bit, and if we want, we can also move it left and right on every step. If you want to check this position in a better way, we can also go into panels, orthographic and front view, just to check if our shoulders are actually straight. I would say that they're pretty straight. So I would maybe just a tiny bit more like this, and I would say we can go back to our perspective view. So once you're happy with this position, drag a marquee box on all of the controllers of your character, and let's go on frame 1 and press S. If you have a different timeline, we're gonna set this timeline here to 25 frames, and we're gonna select again our character, and then we're gonna put a keyframe even at the end of our walk cycle, because again, in order to have a walk cycle, you need to have the exactly same position at the beginning and at the end. Cool. So now we can proceed, and we can go halfway through our walk cycle, and we can literally invert this character here. So what we can do first, so basically we just need to pull this arm forward, pull this arm backwards, and invert the legs. I've already tried, as we did last time, to copy and paste the values, but for some reason this rig doesn't accept this type of manipulation on the keyframes, on the controllers for some reason. So we're gonna do that manually. So either we take a look at the values and we manually copy them, for example, by selecting the translate Z and pasting it in the other foot, or we can just literally position our foot trying to replicate this position. I would say we can copy the value, so it could be a little bit easier. So we want this foot here to be in this position, so we grab this foot here, we copy the translate Z value, which is minus 8. We select this foot here, we go on the translate Z, and we paste this guy here. Then again, heel bow, Control C, and then again, and Control V. Now, as you can see, they're clearly the position of this foot is clearly different. So in order to try and match that one, we're just gonna pull this foot backwards. So I would say like this. There you go. And then we have the auto key activated, so we don't have to worry about setting keyframes and everything. So again, let's go back at frame 1, and now we want this position on this foot at frame 13. So let's copy the value of the heel bow, and then we want to paste them on this foot at frame 13. So let's go on frame 13 and let's paste the value of the heel bow. There you go. It looks pretty weird, but as soon as we pull this foot a little bit front, it's gonna look like a normal position. And again, let's make sure to not stretch the knee too much, otherwise it will go crazy. Let's always make sure that we have the knee a little bit bent. So once we've done that, we can select the hip, and basically we just want to invert these values here. So the rotate X is this value here, and I would say that we can leave it for the whole walk cycle with this value. Instead, we just want to change the rotation of the side. So now this leg is leading, so our hip needs to lean towards this leg here. So let's grab the rotate Y value and just invert this value. So if it's minus, let's just get rid of the minus, and if it's a positive value, we're just gonna add the minus. So it's gonna invert. And again, we're gonna do the same with the shoulders. So this value is gonna be positive now. Actually, I've just realized that that's why it looked a little bit too much because I select this control as well. So let's press Control Z and let's just select this here. And again, let's get rid of the minus. There you go. So now it's not gonna be that crazy. And then the head, which is we just want to rotate the head a little bit. So for example, this is the rotate Y, so we want to invert this value here, so minus, and then we also want to invert the rotate Y value, which is here, so minus. There you go. So what we need to do now is to invert the arms as well. So we can either invert this value, just invert this value by doing this, which is really really easy, or we can just try to position it manually. It's entirely up to you. We can just invert the value and then adjust our position. For example, I would like this arm to be a little bit more exaggerated, so I'm just gonna pull it a little bit more, nothing too crazy. So then we may want to check the hands. So again, this hand here, we want this hand to face the ground a little bit, and that hand here is facing the opposite side. So I would say that this is our reverse position. So again, let's grab everything and press S. So now if we go back at frame 1, we're just going to literally have a change of position. Cool. So now we can proceed. I will maybe go a little bit faster than last time because you already know more or less the what we need to do. So basically we just need to check the position and then we just need to place our character. So maybe we can go through this part a little bit quicker. So now we're gonna have a look at our pass position, and if we check our frames, our pass position is at frame 7. So let's go at frame 7, and again, as you can see, our character is kind of in this position, but of course we need to adjust something. For example, this foot needs to completely touch the floor, and the other foot is basically passing, so we may want to change this foot here. And if we notice, our hip is kind of going in a normal position because it's inverting on the other side. 13. Actually, I have the feeling that we didn't invert this. So if we check our values here, the translate Y is minus, but this actually doesn't need to change. We may want to check the rotate Z, which is the same value. So yeah, we forgot to change this value, but as you can see, no worries at all. You're gonna notice straight away that there was something weird. So let's just invert this position here by putting the negative value on this side here. And now it looks more nicer. So again, if I go at frame 1, now we can see that our hip is literally shifting the weight from one side to the other. Nice. So let's go back to our pass-through position. So let's go at frame 7, and we want this foot to be completely on the touching the floor. So we want to get rid of the heel bow, and we may want to pull the hip a little bit up, just like this, and then we want this foot to pass through as our reference here. So if we try to rotate this foot on the other way, like we were doing with the previous rig, this is the case. The heel ball doesn't work like the previous rig. So for example, now we need to put a 0 on this value and actually rotate our foot in this way here. So it's not really a problem. It's just the way how we rotate this guy here. So we may want to rotate it a little bit more. Say like this. Maybe this foot needs to go forward a little bit, and the body could go up a tiny bit more. I would say like this. And also we can check our hands as well. So the left hand is pointing towards the back, instead the other one is pointing towards the front a tiny bit. So I would also rotate a little bit the shoulders, or actually we can adjust that later. Let's just move our hands a little bit. So for example, this and this one is still pointing a little bit backwards. Yeah, maybe we want to adjust a tiny bit the shoulders as well. So let's do it now, and then we can adjust them later if they're not as we wanted them. Cool. So this looks like a nice pass-through position. So once we're happy with this, I would say select everything. We can also we basically have keyframes on the controllers that we moved. So we can maybe try not to set a position on all of the controllers and see what happens. So now we need to check the reverse pass position, which is at frame 19. So let's go at frame 19, and again this time is this foot here, which needs to touch completely the ground. Then we can pull this a little bit backwards. We also want this value here at 0. And then we want our body to be up. Exactly, don't go too crazy. Like this, and then again, heel bow at 0, and we're gonna rotate our foot. And try to position it in a nice way. I would say like this. Translate Y is going a little bit crazy, so let's make sure that this foot is completely touching the ground. So at frame 0. Okay. So frame 19 again. We want to check the position of the arms. So either, again, we invert these values here. So for example, 6.383, 19, actually, let's copy this value here, Control C, and it's gonna be minus 6.383. It's a subtle change, but it's a nice way of inverting things. And again, here we have the Y value and a frame 19. We want to invert this, so minus 37. Maybe if we notice that it's a little bit too over exaggerate, let's just calm this down a tiny bit. And again, for this shoulder as well. So the rotation on the rotate Y is value, so we're gonna copy this value and here paste with the negative value. So for example, they're more or less both like this. This one needs to stay a little bit forward, so in this case this one needs to stay a little bit forward, so we may wanna tone down a little bit this position. Even if we copied the value, it doesn't matter, like this. And we want the hand facing the back a tiny bit, I would say like this. So now we should have the invert position at frame 7 and frame 19. Cool. It doesn't matter if they're not perfect. It means that our walk cycle could be more natural. So now we can proceed with our walk cycle. We can decide if we want to do our down position or our up position. I would say let's do the down position first. So the body is clearly going down, and this is the position of the legs that we may wanna replicate, and the arms are, as you can see, in an open position. So let's go with frame 4, and we just need to do a little bit of changes, so in order to have a nice down position. So for example, this foot is completely touching the floor, our body is going down. Don't worry about exaggerate a little bit. We can always change this value later once we polish our walk cycle. Of course, we're gonna change positions and value, because everything needs to go smooth. So of course, there must be something that we may want to change later, but it's not a problem. So again, here, heel bow 0, and our foot is kind of touching the ground with the tip of the foot. So we may want to rotate this guy a little bit more. I would say like this. So then we're gonna adjust that later, don't worry. Like this, maybe a tiny bit, hop, cool. Like this, and then the arms, of course, there needs to be the opposite, so this one is going backwards. I'm not gonna exaggerate too much, but the hand is in a good position, and then this arm here needs to go to the front. So what we also need to do in this case, we may want to rotate our chest a tiny bit more. So for example, in here, and then we're gonna rotate it in the reverse position as well. So I would say that we're happy with our down position. We may want to change this hand here because it's facing maybe the floor a little bit more. And then we can go, let's check our timeline. We can go at frame 16 to position our reverse down position. So let's check this position here. So this foot now needs to be backwards, and this foot here needs to be completely touching the floor. So let's get rid of the heel bow. Let's pull our body down, and also we want to make sure that the X rotation is at 0, so we're not gonna have these weird things, and also our translate Y position is at 0, so our foot is gonna be on a perfect position. So then let's go to the other foot and 0 on the heel bow, and we may want to rotate this guy a tiny bit more. I would say like this. And I'm pretty sure that the arms are kind of in a nice position. Yeah, maybe we can exaggerate. Probably I pulled the body too much down, I would say. So just pull it up a tiny bit. So maybe this arm here can go backwards, and I would say that this one is okay. Nice. So we have now our reverse down position 4 and 16. As you can see in the side view, is clearly just changing. Also, we may wanna make sure, for example, I just noticed that this foot is not completely touching the ground. So again, translate Y at 0 and rotate X at 0. So now I think we're good. So now we can proceed and we can do our last 2 positions, which is our up position and reverse up position. So frame 10 and frame 22. And our up position is gonna be like this. As you can see, the body is completely up and the foot is just going forward, basically. So let's go at frame 10 and see. It's kinda going yeah, in the right. Yeah, we just need to do a little bit of adjustments, and then I think we should be fine. So for example, the heel bow needs to be a little bit more exaggerated, And the translate Y, make sure that this is on 0. And also the rotate X. There you go. And then we want to pull this guy backwards a little bit. And of course, since this is our up position, we want to pull the body up. We can also increase a little bit the heel ball so that we can go more up and pull this guy forward so that we have the chance to pull the body up. There you go. And then this foot is basically landing, so we may wanna we can probably, what if we 0 on the heel ball? Yeah, there you go. We're just gonna take off the heel ball and manipulate this with a little bit of rotation. So I would say like this. There you go. And then let's have a look at the arms. So they're kind of in a good position. Let's check the other one. Yeah, we just want to maybe modify a little bit this hand. So we're just gonna face this direction. But I'm pretty happy with this arm position, even if we didn't manipulate this part. It doesn't matter, because you're gonna notice that when we're gonna polish our walk cycle, we're gonna actually delete a lot of keyframes that are really not useful. So this we just wanna rotate it a tiny bit. I would say like this. Nice. And then we're just gonna do our reverse position. So frame 22. Again, we want this to be really exaggerated so that we can pull the body up. Like this. And then we want to take off the heel ball from here and adjust this position by rotating the foot. So for example, like this. And then we may want to have this arm a little bit, just a tiny bit forward, and this one a tiny bit backwards. So leg up, the arm is going a tiny bit backwards, and the other one is touching, basically touching the opposite knee. Okay. So we may want to rotate the wrist in here as well. Cool. So now that we've set all of our positions, so 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, and 25, I think we're good to press play and see what we did. Of course, this is not the last stage. We just set our positions. We need a lot of work. We need a lot of polish. Our work cycle is not finished like this. But anyway, let's just check. So if I press play now, as you can see, we can say that we have a walk cycle, which is really not that bad. We may want to adjust a tiny bit some positions, and we want to offset also our movements, but it's a pretty good result. So if it's going a little bit too fast, which I have the feeling mine is not in the right playback speed, right click on the timeline, playback speed, real time, just to make sure. Nice. So now we can check all of our curves and polish them. So the first thing that we need to do is to activate our curves. So in order that whenever we offset something, so for example, if you remember, offsetting something means that we grab all of this keyframe here, and the starting point is not going to be frame 1 anymore, but could be frame 2, could be frame 3, could be frame 4, just to basically offset all of the movements so that our body is not moving at the same time, all of these parts. So for example, if I open my graph editor now, so either you have it here or you just go under Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. So for example, if I grab my wrist, and as you can see, if I offset these keyframes here, and for example at frame 2, as you can see here, we have one frame in which our character is not doing anything. You don't really see the differences now, but if we offset all of these, for example, if we offset the arms, if we offset the legs, if we offset the shoulders, we're gonna notice that our character will be stuck for a couple of frames, because of course in here you don't have any kind of movement. So in order to have a movement, we need to activate the curves, so the cycle will continue even if we offsetted the movement. So let's go back now, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna select all of our controllers and all of our keyframes in the graph editor. We're gonna go under curves, pre-infinity, cycle, post-infinity, cycle, and of course, in order to see them, let's go under view and check the infinity box. So now, even if, for example, I offset everything at frame 6, I still have movements between frame 1 and 5 because I have my curve. That was the meaning of applying the curves and then being able to offset our curves. So before starting to offset our curves, we actually need to check all of them and make sure there are nice curves. So for example, let's check the movement of this foot. It looks pretty okay. There's just something weird going on here, like this, as you can see. So we just maybe want to check our heel ball curve. For example, in here, as we can see, this definitely needs to be straight. So let's just select these two keyframes here and let's straighten them out. And the same with these keyframes here. There you go. And we may want to check the other curves here. For example, in here, as you can see, there's this weird thing going on, and it's basically due to this curve here. So again, let's straighten this curve here. So now it's okay. Let's check the translate Y as well, because I had the feeling that there were something going on again. And now it's definitely okay. Cool. So after we've done that, we may want to check the translate Z. Okay, so again, with the translate Z, we want a linear curve because we want our movement from front to the back to be constant. So we want to get rid of these keyframes in the middle. We just want to keep frame 1, frame 13, and frame 25. Also, this stuff here may not be okay. So we may want to pull this guy like this. Okay, and then we're gonna select everything and we're gonna make everything straight. So now our foot is walking to a constant speed. So it's gonna be easier later on when we're gonna make this guy walk. You can actually see the differences between the left foot and the right foot. So the left foot is actually going on loop in a constant speed, and this foot here is slowing down a little bit when it reaches the back. But anyway, let's do the same with the other foot. So let's check all of these little things here. So we may want to straighten everything, and then here as well, and then the translate Y, tuck, and then let's do also here the translate Z process. So let's get rid of these keyframes here and let's make everything straight. Then we're gonna check if everything is alright, which it is. Nice. So once we've done the feet, we're gonna have a look at the arms. So again, for example, rotate Y. This curve here looks a little bit weird. So what we want to do, we just want to keep, for example, we can keep the first and the last position, of course, and then we may want to just keep this position here because it's going all the way to the back, and then this position here because it's going all the way to the front. So let's delete the rest, and what we need to do, we need to make this curve here a little bit much nicer. So let's try to spline this curve here, but as you can see, we still have this weird effect going on, and we're just gonna adjust this by manipulating the first keyframe and the last keyframes as well. So for example, I would do this, and then again let's adjust this guy. Maybe this one, we can pull this up a tiny bit. So as you can see, now our curve is way much nicer. What if we move this keyframe one frame? There you go. As you can see, the movement is way much smoother because we don't have weird curves going on. And we want to do the same, for example, in here we don't have anything else. So let's do the same with the other shoulder. So again, rotate Y, we just want to keep the first, the last, and then this frame here, which is the when the arm is going to the front and then to the back. There you go. Let's delete the rest. Let's spline this curve up and let's adjust a tiny bit these curves here. We may want to adjust this position a little bit as well. And now we definitely have a much nicer curve. And again, we may want to move this keyframe here to the 14th frame, which looks a little bit more right. So now, as you can see, we're starting to have everything more smoother, but we technically have to check all of our controls. So in here as well, we have, let's maybe spline them all before. Let's make them spline. So now our rotate Z is kind of okay. Our rotate Y is a tiny bit weird. So we may want to have a look into this. Yeah, we just want to match these two keyframes here. So for example, I can do the first one and then we're gonna do this one. And of course here, let's pull this guy up a tiny bit. So now it should be exactly, maybe a little bit over exaggerated, but it's a nice effect. So let's do the same with the other hand as well. So in here, for example, we don't really need this keyframe here. We just want to adjust a tiny bit these curves here, like this. It's all about having a nice curve. It doesn't matter if you move one keyframe. There you go. So now we should have everything set up, and again here we want to make this spline, and in this one as well, spline everything. So it's gonna be way much smoother. We may want to have a look at the translate Y, which looks a little bit weird. So for example, we have our down position. So this position here needs to, the body needs to go up. So since we changed the keyframe here, we want to change it at 25 as well. Then the body is going down and up. so we don't really need this keyframe here. Can pull this and up and then down. We don't need this one. And then up 17 and then down again. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna match this position here. So at frame 7, the body, let's copy this position here, and at frame 19, let's paste this position here. And the same with the down position, which was at frame 14. And then we're gonna have okay, let's analyze this. So say we're happy with this position here. We may want to pull this up a tiny bit. Key selected, and then down position. That's all right. Then we have our up. Actually, our up position is at frame 7. So I would move the highest point, sorry, at frame 10. There you go. Then we have the other down position, which is at frame 16. So we want to move the down position at frame 16, which can go a little bit down as well. And then we have the other up position at frame 22. So we may want to move this guy here at frame 22. And of course, we want to adjust these frames as well. In order to have a nicer curve. So now everything should be way much better, definitely. You can even waste a day trying to polish your curve, because the more smoother and correct they are, the more your animation will be legit. There you go. And then we may want to have a look at the shoulders as well. So let's spline this guy. And let's have a look at the rotate Y, which is weird. So we just have a rotation at frame 4, then we should have another rotation at frame 16, but we may want to get rid of this one in the middle. And of course, we want to adjust our curves. Make sure to always have the move tool selected when you want to adjust your keyframe in the graph editor. But yeah, I think the movement of the chest to the left and to the right is really subtle, so we can actually get rid of this. And if we want to add it, we can add this later on. So let's check our first position. Okay, everything is cool. And let's check again the hip. So now, as you can see, the curve is way much better. I think we managed to polish everything. Let's check the head as well, spline, and we should be alright. Let's try to select, yeah, the curves definitely looks much nicer. So now we can go and offset everything in order to make this animation a little bit more realistic. But we basically already have a walk cycle, but we want to make this a little bit more realistic. So we're really close to the end, so we just wanna offset some of our keyframes. For example, we want to offset the hip. So I would say that we may want to check our legs. So for example, when this foot is going down, the body needs to be a little bit up and then goes down, because the first contact is made by the foot and then by the body. So let's select everything, and with the move tool activated, shift button pressed and middle button of your mouse, let's drag these keyframes. Actually, let's go on frame 4, so we're gonna actually see the body going up a little bit, and we want the body, we can offset them 3 frames. It shouldn't be it should be alright. Maybe a little bit too much, so let's try to offset them by 2 frames. So yeah, definitely. Now, as you can see, the foot is touching the ground and then the body is touching. So there's a little bit of offsetting over there. But we may want to check our up position, because it's definitely too up. So let's drag this control here, translate Y value, and let's pull this down just a tiny bit. Actually, so we can pull this down a tiny bit. There you go. And now we may want to try to select both of them again, so the hip and the root control, and let's try to offset them again. But it's maybe, okay, this is definitely too much. Okay, so these 2 control, we're gonna offset them so just 2 frames, and then we can grab just this guy here and offset this guy here from the center control, from the root control. So let's grab this guy here and offset him another frame. It's a really subtle change, but you're gonna actually see that they're not rotating at the same time again. And also we may want to just offset the translate Y of this foot. So first the body is going down and then is rotating and leaning towards the leading foot just a tiny bit. So let's offset this guy as well. So now it's definitely more much smoother. Cool. Okay, so let's check the hip. So our hip is starting at frame 3, so we want our shoulder 1 frame to go 1 frame later. So let's try and check what happened if we offset the shoulders to 4 frames. It should be alright. There you go. So as soon as the hip moves after that is gonna be the turn of the shoulders. That's basically like a wave. It starts from the foot and it goes up. So we may want to do the same with the head. So let's try to offset the head from 4. I would also say 5 if it's not too much. It's definitely not too much because the movement of the head is really, really, really subtle. There you go. And once we've done that, so we need to check when our shoulders are moving. So for example, here is rotate Z. Okay, so when the shoulder is going like this arm here needs to be at the front. So let's select all of our, so 1, 2 and 3. There you go. So this point here, we want this bit here a little bit later on, so we may want to offset our shoulder too. I would say just 1 frame, and then we're just gonna offset the shoulder, actually the arm, with the other part of the arm. So we're gonna offset the shoulder and then the elbow and then the wrist. We didn't really move the elbow, so we're just gonna offset the wrist to the shoulder as well. Top. So now we have the wrist starting at frame 3 and the shoulder starting at frame 2, and it should be alright. There you go. You can literally see the offsetting here. So as soon as the arm goes in front, the hand is still leaning backwards a little bit. It's a really nice effect. We have it here, but as soon as we offset it, it's gonna be way much nicer. So again, move tool, shift middle button of the mouse, let's drag it to frame 2, and then let's go at frame 3, and we're just gonna offset the wrist. There you go. So it should be alright. So now we have a really smooth walk cycle. What we can also do, for example here, let's select, we can also move the fingers of our character. So for example, we want to select all of them, and let's just make a subtle movement at frame 13. When the hand is backwards, we're just gonna close them a tiny bit like this, and then of course let's make them spline, and now they're, as you can see here, they're closing and opening because of course our hands are not stuck in the air, and it's a little bit more realistic. So let's do the same with this one as well. We can leave it at frame 1, so it's gonna be offsetted from the wrist anyway. So frame 13, actually we want to change the hand when it's backwards, so in this case we need to do it at frame 1, and of course we need to copy this position. So middle button of the mouse, drag all the way down to the end and press S, and again we want to spline these curves, and there you go. Now we have this nice subtle movement of the hand as well, which is really nice. So if we want to have a look at our walk cycle in a better way, let's have a look. Can maybe pull this up a tiny bit. There you go. Okay, so we may want to hide our nerve curves so that we can actually have a better look at our walk cycle. It's a pretty smooth walk cycle. And I think we're pretty much done with this. And this is our first part. And in the second part, we're gonna take care of making this guy walking forward. And also, if you notice here, the foot is transpassing the floor, so we're gonna adjust that later as well. But for now, it's a really nice result. To be honest, we can also adjust this guy now if we want. So let's just grab this control here. So as soon as it's doing this movement here, I would say in here, we need to grab the foot and pull it up a tiny bit. So now it's not gonna go through the floor anymore. So let's do the same with the other foot. So in here, let's pull the foot up. There you go. So now, yeah, we did. It was really easy, so it was nice that we did it now. So let's take off the nerve curves, and our walk cycle is pretty much finished.